After The Last Jedi, Rian Johnson is someone who everyone knows. He is notorious for trying to part of the Star Wars community for his use of legacy characters, focusing on subverting expectations for the sake of shock value. But after watching Knives Out, a film directed by him, which I've been meaning to watch for a long time, I enjoyed it so much and I just want to talk about it. Hello everyone, I'm Fictional Fanatics, and this is why Knives Out works. Spoiler alert. Now, for those who don't remember, what is Knives Out? It is a mystery movie about Detective Blanc, played perfectly by Daniel Craig, solving the murder of the head of a wealthy family. It has plenty of twists and turns, and it is an extremely satisfying film. The first thing I want to talk about is the premise. I would describe this film as if Clue was a movie. Oh, wait, it is. You know what I mean. We follow small hints which are set out throughout the movie to solve a big mystery in the end, and it's just a fun movie. I really like the storytelling here because it's not just one twist at the end, but something which has twists logical to the situations throughout the movie, and that makes sense. Throughout watching, you think of countless different suspects of the murder as we learn more about what happened. We think it's him, then him, then him, then back to him, and it's extremely fun. It's also interesting because we, the audience, know things that Detective Blanc does not, and he noticed things that we might not, as he is in the world and a good detective. It adds layers to storytelling, which keeps you on the edge of your seat and encourages rewatching. Some of my favorite elements was how the film started with the dogs running, which set up the ransom twist at the end because they don't like him. There's so many small elements which I enjoy, and you can tell that are really set up well. To talk a bit more about Ransom, his plan was so good. Every part from the reason he wasn't at the funeral, something that would have been a throwaway line, but was used well here. The fact that he didn't really kill Harlan, and then how he intended to get the money was so well thought out, and I really loved it. And the location of the film was equally amazing. It took place in this old mansion, which looks cool, but then also sets up the story as well. We see how this creaky stairs, the isolation of it, the rotting wood, as well as other things play a big part in the film, even though it's just a house. It's really cool to see a film use its location to great effect, playing a big part in the story and the mystery. It shows once again the thought and effort put into this film. Hi, this is Editing Gabriel. Just one more thing I wanted to say that I was thinking about was that since the house it wasn't built for the film, that means they probably knew the house that they were going to film in before actually getting the script done. So they had the house before scripting, and I just think that's really cool. Uh, yeah, that's it. It's cool, and I wanted to say it. I And next are the characters. This film has some really good characters. First of all, let's talk about Detective Blanc. He is really funny and interesting at the same time. He's such a good detective to watch where he's not perfect, but he's one who would describe himself as just a guy following the facts. He is seen as friendly, but then also antagonistic as the film goes on, where he's a good guy, but by following the facts available to him, he starts to think that maybe Martha was the killer, and that causes him to have this really interesting thing where he's starting to go after the main, which we now have an emotional attachment to, and and she technically did kill him, but she's also innocent. So it just causes a bunch of emotions where you don't really know who to root for. And then he also has this funny scenes like he's in a car chase, but he's telling the person who he's chasing through the car window to call him so he can talk to her. It's a nice balance of funny and serious where it's not like he's just quipping all the time, but it's funny because of the context, and I just absolutely love it. And Martha, she's an interesting lead. She's a really good character, although not the most interesting in the story. Don't get me wrong, she's a great character, which I really like, but I only mean to say that she's the most normal character of the bunch. But that is used to great effect when we see how a normal person reacts to being thrust into the middle of this murder mystery in this big eccentric family. And her being a normal person helps make it more interesting than if it was one of these wacky and weird characters being the focus. Harlan Thromber is another interesting character. You would think with him dying in the first minute of the film that he would hardly be a character, but with all the flashbacks, we see a lot of him. He captures this eccentric old author living in a mansion character perfectly. When I say it like that, it sounds weird, but I could definitely see people like him existing in the real world. I love how, although he loves his family, he is cutting them off and stopping their bad behavior and trying to make them into their best selves as a real father would. I love that as he is dying, he's taking notes for his death being a great idea for one of his stories. And then when we see him turn serious, telling Martha exactly how to get out of the situation, like he was setting up one of his books, it was just fantastic. He's an excellent character with so much depth, which I enjoy so much. And finally, let's discuss Ransom a bit more. I've come to appreciate Chris Evans so much more recently with his roles as villains like Hero and the Gray Man, where he just does such a good job at being a villain. It's so funny that Captain America, the most goody two shoes superhero ever, makes these fantastic villains. Ransom is such an enjoyable character, and I don't really know how to describe it. I guess the best way to sum it up would be the one of my favorite scenes in the movie, which is him coming into the reading of the will, knowing what's going to happen, and then just laughing maniacally when Martha gets all the money. It was the embodiment of this character played perfectly, and it was just a beautiful scene the whole time. Overall, this movie is really great. It made me appreciate Ryan Johnson as director and makes me almost wish he got his own Star Wars trilogy. I would love to see what he does with the creative liberty to make his own story, and this is the proof that he can do a good job. Ryan Johnson can do great work, and this movie proves it. It is a masterpiece and shouldn't be forgotten just due to the failure of The Last Jedi. Also, with The Glass Onion coming out in a few days, I probably will be making a video about it, so when I do, I'll put it on the end screen. So, yeah, this is a great movie, and it's probably the start of a great story, hopefully. With the future movies coming up, I'm really excited. I'm going to be covering it, and I'm just excited to see where this goes. Anyways, that's all I have to say. What do you think? Agree? Disagree? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to stay tuned for my Glass Onion review. Also, any theories, again, leave them down below. And anyways, until the next one, thanks for watching.